Hello and welcome to Up the Villa podcast. If you are new to our channel, subscribe, drop this video a like and get involved in the comment section down below. And if you are new, please subscribe. It'll help the channel grow massively. It's highly appreciated from myself. And if you do watch us regularly and you're not subscribed, just hit that button. It's free. All of the content we create, loads and loads of content. And if you're a Villa fan, what's not to love? Just click that button for us. You can pause this video now and click it and then just watch this video and enjoy the content. So what we normally do, match previews, we do transfer hubs at the minute. But the beauty of what we can do as an Aston Villa fan channel is we can go back in time and look at some nostalgia, some history, some of the beautiful things that this football club have achieved. And through the years, depending on what era you were born, you've probably watched some absolutely amazing Aston Villa strikers, such as Carew, Angel, Dublin, York, Peter Whiff, Gabby Bonahor. I mean, he scored 76 goals in 332 games. But I'm guessing none of you will have ever watched Pongo wearing. And I'm going to take you back in time to the 1930s to have a look at the player profile of Pongo wearing and his absolute fantastic Villa career. And Villa fans, you know me, I absolutely love Aston Villa. So I love any sort of history, any sort of stats. So I've got loads of notes here in front of me and we'll have a look at Pongo wearing. But before we do, let's just have a look a bit of what Pongo wearing looked like if you've never ever seen him before. So this is Pongo wearing. So he was a striker for Aston Villa. We've got an image of him in colour as well. And he was just a massive, massive stature of a man. And look at those Grealish vibe socks as well. So this is Pongo wearing. So some of you may have seen pictures. Some of you may as well have heard of him. So let's now have a little look at the player profile of Pongo wearing and go back in time to the 1930s. So enjoy it, Villa fans. So he was born in October 1906 in High Tranmere, Birkenhead. For Aston Villa, he made 225 appearances, scoring 167 goals. It's the most goals any player has ever scored for Aston Villa. In those appearances, he scored 10 hat-tricks. Absolutely massive. His career spanned over 9 seasons from 1927 to 1936. So let's see where it all started. So he's from a working class family, 10 minutes from the Tranmere training ground. And he learned his trade playing football on the cobbled streets. So that sort of takes you back to the little Suarez vibes, doesn't it? Just like how he used to play football, just like nicking it and getting the little touches. I always remember that story about Suarez. So imagine that for your touch playing on cobbled streets, it must have been like pretty decent to anticipate where the ball was going to go, because back in the day, the pitches were just not as nice as what they were nowadays. And footballers of today had probably really struggled to play on those pitches as well. So I guess that was really good learning your trade on cobbled surfaces. He was scouted by Jack Lee, who scouted Dixie Dean, who currently holds the record for the highest amount of goals ever scored in English football. So it goes Dixie Dean and then it goes Tom Waring. He then was playing for the Tranmere Reserves, and he worked on the match day, working for the club as well. So in the reserves, he scored 34 goals at Prenton Park. And before the games, he used to sell cigarettes and chocolate. So, a bit about his character. He was a really hard-working man, but then he also did it for a little bit of money at the same time. In 1927, he was promoted to the first team. He made his debut against Rotherham, and then a couple of days later, he bagged 2 goals against Durham. So his name's Tom Waring, but he's mainly known as Pongo wearing. There's 2 things to do with his name. One is that they say he had poor hygiene, so he was named Pongo. But the second one is that he had characteristics. He was mischievous, the same as a cartoon dog at the time. So they merged Tom Waring's personality with this mischievous nature of this dog, which was called Pongo. So he then became Pongo wearing. So that's where the name comes from. So for Tranmere, he played 24 games and he scored 23 goals. 168 days later, Pongo signed for Villa for £4,700, which was the highest transfer fee in the 3rd division at the time. So when he came to Aston Villa, there was big things thought of him, and it was sort of like down to him to sort of make that fee worthwhile, win the Villa fans over. So in his first season, he scored 32 goals in 42 games, and Villa finished third that season. So let's just repeat that. In his first season for Aston Villa, he scored 32 goals in 42 games, and this is not the best part about Pongo wearing. In his second season, it was an injury-riddled season. He scored 11 goals in 23 games, and he soon became a fan favourite. After the games, he would drink in the Holt pub. Yeah, and it's just mental. It just, after the games, neck some beers in the Holt pub. And this is where we're talking about the Pongo wearing now. In 1930-31, it was one of the greatest seasons in English football. He scored 50 goals in 40 games for Aston Villa, 49 goals in the league, which is the closest to Dixie Dean. So Dixie Dean holds the record. I think it's around 50. And then it goes Pongo wearing. And he scored 49 goals in the league. So let's have a look at where the goals came from. So if I can get it on this screen now. So here he is. Here's the legend. So basically, when he joined Villa, his first ever game was for the reserves against Birmingham City, and he bagged one. He bagged one against the Blues. So he absolutely hates the Blues, and bagged one against the Blues. So on his main start that season, he scored 4 goals on the opening day of the season against Manchester United in a 4-3 win. I mean, every game here, he scored a goal. So he scored 1 against Sheffield Wednesday, 4 against West Ham, 1 against Grimsby, 1 against Liverpool, 2 against Blackburn, 2 against Arsenal, 1 against Derby, 2 against Sheffield United, 1 against Man City, 1 against Chelsea, 2 against Chelsea. He scored 4 against Sunderland. I mean, the guy was just an absolute goal machine for that season. And it just doesn't ever get talked about enough for Villa fans for me, because it was an absolute fantastic achievement. And he is Aston Villa's all-time leading goal scorer. And, I mean, it's easy. I hate when people nowadays say, would he have been able to do it now? But I think the pitches back in that day were just absolutely horrendous, with those mud baths. If we go back and have a look at the football here, it's an absolute leather cannon. And he was bagging goals galore with a leather cannon, a leather cannonball. Absolutely massive scenes, massive signing. And he's just absolute Villa legend. And I think he should be talked about more and more with Villa fans. But it doesn't stop there. He went on to play for England, which sort of adds that sort of like rags to riches story, doesn't it? So on his first debut, England lost 5-2. He scored on his debut. He scored in a Belgian game as well. He scored 2 goals. And then his last game was against Scotland, where he opened the scoring. And that was in front of 92,810 football fans, which is absolutely massive. But he sort of went off the rails a little bit towards the end. I've read that he sort of used to go around pubs just necking the dregs of everybody's drinks. He had a fight with a police officer. And then he actually, when he left Villa, he went back to Tranmere and he scored 15 goals in 25 appearances. He scored 22 goals in the season after, and he helped them get promoted. And I think just at the time, he loved a drink. He was a lad. And I just think it's an absolute fantastic story. And I just wanted to highlight to people that have never heard of Pongo wearing the absolute legend that he is and the amount of goals that he scored for Aston Villa at the time. And I think he's just one of these legends of the game. There's one of the players that have played and graced Villa Park and graced the club, and even the badge on the thumbnail, just it's just class, isn't it? So I think he was a brilliant servant for the club. He lived up to all of the hype as well when he came from Tranmere, and for that season he just delivered and bagged absolute goals. So I think I've got a picture of him here in his England kit as well. Let me just find it. There he is. So there he is in his England shirt. I mean, look at those tops are class as well. Imagine if you could get your hands on one of those. The shorts are just baggy, and then yeah, Grealish vibes with his socks. But yeah, absolute goal machine. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And I just wanted to just do something a little bit different and just talk to you a little bit about pongowaring, because I've been reading stuff and I keep seeing his name pop up, and I just thought it'd be great if I could share a little bit of this knowledge with you guys as well. So if you enjoyed it, if you want a bit more nostalgic, if you want me to go back and think of any other players or any other teams that have done well for Aston Villa, just let me know. Put it in the comments section. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and up the pongo wearing.